God speaks, "Be still and trust me." That is not a passive whisper nor an excuse for inaction. It is a sacred invitation, a command to quiet your heart, calm your spirit, and place unwavering trust in the one who never fails. When he moves, all creation aligns. So when he tells you to rest, it's not merely a gentle suggestion. It is divine assurance that he is already at work behind the scenes in realms you cannot see. He is orchestrating answers, aligning breakthroughs, preparing outcomes beyond what your heart has dared to dream. Then why the restlessness, beloved child of God? Why does your heart remain troubled when heaven has already spoken peace into your storm? Why do you lie awake, burdened by worry, when the one who holds eternity has promised to carry you, provide for you, and complete his work in you? The outcome is not in your striving, nor in your efforts or anxious thoughts. It rests in the hands of the one who spoke stars into being and calls each by name. There is unmatched strength in stillness, glory and surrender, and true triumph in patient trust. But this world has trained us to rush, to strive, to fix everything ourselves, as if it all hinges on our next move. And when things don't unfold as expected, we fall back on God like a backup. But hear this truth clearly. When God says be still, he's not asking you to give up. He's asking you to look up. Lift your eyes to where your help truly comes from. Look toward the heavens where your prayers rise like incense. Look to his throne where every answer is already known. You cannot bend time, control people, or dictate outcomes. But you can trust, you can believe, you can rest in the eternal arms of a God who has never failed anyone who relied on him. God says be still, not because there is nothing to be done, but because he has already done what you could not. He has opened doors no one can shut. He has turned hearts of stone into flesh. He has made a way where none existed, and he is not finished. Faith is not found only in the loud praises. It is born in quiet surrender. When bills are due, when questions outnumber answers, when everything feels uncertain, but you still declare God is at work. Faith is refusing to dwell in worst-case thinking and choosing instead to declare divine truth. It's not a fleeting feeling. It is a steadfast mindset rooted in what God has spoken. And if he has declared rest over you, then nothing in this world, no delay, no opposition can undo what he has ordained. People may hinder, but they cannot hold. Circumstances may stretch, but they cannot stop his hand. So today, choose to breathe deep and believe. Choose stillness, not as surrender to fear, but as surrender to God. For the one who calls you to rest is the same one who never sleeps, never loses control, and never abandons his promises. Even your own fears may cloud it, but they will never cancel it. What God has ordained for your life is sealed in heaven, and no anxiety can accelerate its timing. No amount of worry will force it to unfold any faster. You are called to wait in peace and not in dread. You are invited to wait with confidence and not with trembling. Some of you are weary, weary of the waiting, weary of hoping, weary of holding on. But listen carefully. Your exhaustion is not a cue to quit. It is a signal that something holy is drawing near. You are not tired for no reason. You are tired because you're on the edge of a divine breakthrough. The resistance is greatest when heaven is about to release what it has promised. And God whispers, be still. Not because it's over, but because I'm moving. Not collapse, not surrender, not despair. Just breathe. Trust. The pressure you feel is not a dead end. It's the beginning of something being. Many of you have been striving, comparing, wondering why others advance while you remain waiting. But hear this. What God has for you is custom-made. It cannot be rushed and it cannot be stolen. Another person's blessing is not your benchmark. Their journey is not your timeline. God operates on his own terms with divine precision, and when he decides to act, it will happen so swiftly that the years of waiting will fade like a distant dream. You have nothing to prove, nothing to defend, nothing to force. What you truly need is inner stillness of peace that tethers your soul to the unshakable truth that God is faithful. Do you believe the one who crafted you with care in your mother's womb would forget your cries? Do you think the Creator who commands the stars and keeps the earth in balance would ignore your prayers? God is not like man. He does not deceive, he does not mislead, and he never changes his word. If he spoke it over your life, he will bring it to pass. Resting in God is not defeated spiritual warfare. It's a bold declaration in the face of darkness. I will not be moved. It's looking delay in the eye and saying, my God is still working. It's choosing peace amid chaos, and that peace is your weapon. That stillness is your sword, because the enemy feeds on your fear. He wants you to panic. He wants you to doubt that time is on your side. He wants you to think that you've been forgotten, that you've missed your moment. But hear me, the devil is a liar. Time is held in God's hands. Purpose is held in God's heart. And your appointed moment is already written. Don't confuse noise with progress. Just because someone is constantly moving doesn't mean they're walking in purpose. And just because you are still doesn't mean you are stuck. God develops his promises in the silence. The seed does not shout as it pushes through the soil. The tree bears fruit without sound. God is at work in stillness, deep, unseen, intentional. And when the time is right, he will lift you up. Not by your effort, not by your strength, but by his hand alone. You don't need to lose sleep over who walked away, who betrayed your trust, or who failed to see your worth. Let them go. Release them, because what God brings into your life will be rooted. It will not leave. What the Lord has destined for you carries divine permanence and unshakable authority. You are not falling behind, you are not running late, and you are most certainly not forgotten. You are hidden in the providence of God, tucked within his protection, shielded by his timing. That's why he tells you to rest. Because your worry accomplishes nothing but drains your joy. Your fear adds no value. It only depletes your strength. And God didn't carry you this far just to let you go now. He didn't part the Red Sea of your past only to let you sink in today's tide. If he made a way before, he will surely make a way again. The delay is not punishment. It is preparation. You're not just waiting for the blessing to arrive. God is shaping you to be ready for it. And when it comes, it will fit the strength, wisdom, and depth he has cultivated in you. This blessing will meet your maturity. It will match the endurance he's built in you through every trial, every long night, every silent prayer. So don't rush what heaven is refining. Don't plead for detours. Don't panic when doors stay shut. When God says, be still, he isn't saying the way is blocked. He's saying the time isn't yet. And when the moment arrives, you won't need to knock more than once. You won't need to strive or force your way in. The door will swing open because the one who opens cannot be overruled. Let your heart return to rest. Let your thoughts quiet down. Let your soul realign with its anchor. You don't need every answer. You don't need every detail. What you truly need is to return to trust. Trust like a child, fierce like a warrior, steady like someone who has seen God move mountains and knows he'll do it again. God sees your hidden tears. He hears the prayers you whisper when no one's around. He knows the burdens you carry in silence, and he is not far away. He is not ignoring you. He is not inactive. He is near. He is working. He is watching. And when the time is full, he will send help that leaves you in awe. He will pour out peace that defies logic. He will open floodgates of blessing that erase every shadow of doubt. When God tells you to relax, he's not offering temporary relief. He's inviting you into holy alignment of life, where your soul no longer shudders at delays, where your spirit no longer collapses when the plan changes. It is a transformation, a realignment of your inner world. Because when you finally release the illusion of control, God moves freely, powerfully in ways far beyond what you imagined. God steps in ways beyond your wildest dreams. Your surrender becomes sacred ground where miracles are birthed. Your stillness becomes the canvas where his power is revealed. There is a divine rhythm to God's process. Nothing in your journey is random. Not the quiet seasons, not the closed doors, not the relationships that faded, not even what you called a failure. In his hands. Even detours are preparation. Even wilderness seasons are classrooms for trust, for dependence, for the breaking of every chain forged by human logic. Because it's when you have nothing left but God, you finally realize he is everything. Some of you have been striving to resurrect what God already removed. You've been running after something he has already shut off, and now your soul feels worn. But hear this, God is calling you to stop the chase. Stop forcing what was never yours to repair. Breathe. Let it unravel if it must. God sometimes allows the breaking not to destroy, but to rebuild. What felt like loss was actually the foundation for something greater. What seemed like an end was the setup for a new beginning. And no matter how confusing the path, God never abandons his own. Even in the silence, even in the mystery, even when you feel alone, he is still present, still guiding, still weaving purpose into every turn. Delay is not denial. It is a divine pause to protect you, to align you, to strengthen you. And sometimes the boldest act of faith isn't in doing, but in choosing not to act. Can you believe enough to be still? Can you trust him deeply enough to rest? The enemy wants you restless, worn down by fear, tangled in anxiety. He wants your peace dismantled by the unknown. But God desires your anchor to hold anchored in his word, in his promises, in the certainty that nothing meant for you can ever be stolen. Not by time, not by man, not even by your own mistakes. What God has set aside for you is guarded by heaven. You don't have to sprint after it. You only need to stay aligned, rooted in him. And in the fullness of time, everything will unfold exactly as it should. Resting in God doesn't mean surrendering to fate. It means allowing God to move through you, not just around you. It's not inactivity. It's holy posture. It's the heart standing tall while the storm rages. It's the mind refusing to give fear a voice. It's the soul declaring, my God is in control. That kind of peace, that kind of bold, steady confidence comes not just from knowing about God, but from walking through fire with him. From every battle you've endured, every valley you've crossed, every tear that's fallen, he has been there. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not a mistake. God designed your life with such intentional care that not a single moment has been wasted. Every step every silence, every shift. He's using it all for glory. Every setback, every delay, every door that didn't open it has all been a brushstroke in God's divine masterpiece. And just because you can't yet see the entire canvas doesn't mean the beauty isn't there. Just because your story feels unfinished doesn't mean it lacks purpose. God is still writing. He is still weaving. And when the time comes, what he brings will give meaning to every tear-stained night. There is deep power in trusting when you can't see the next step. There is quiet strength in remaining still while the world around you cries out, "Give up." Faith doesn't erase all questions, that simply chooses obedience anyway. And God treasures the heart that waits not with fear, not with desperation, but with bold expectant hope that declares, "I don't know how or when, but I know my God will move." That kind of faith, it shifts atmospheres, it unlocks heavenly provision. So when your plans fall apart, don't fall into panic. God's plan never fails. When people walk away, don't BG will replace what's been lost with something far greater. And when everything feels like it's stopped, don't collapse. Sometimes God halts it all so he can rebuild you with clarity and strength. His ways will not always match yours. His thoughts soar above yours. His timing is flawless. And when he finally unveils what he has been preparing, it will arrive without sorrow, without confusion, without striving only, with peace, with purpose, with power. Many are asking, when will things change? When will it be my time? But heaven is asking something else. Can you relax even in this moment? Can you trust me even now in the waiting? Because anyone can trust when the breakthrough comes. Anyone can sing when the miracle arrives. But the real question is, can you still worship from the waiting room? Can you still walk in faith while bleeding? Can you still lift your hands when you don't know what's next? That kind of trust carries its own reward. It invites favor that finds you, breakthroughs that overtake you, provision that meets you right where you are. You won't have to chase it. It will chase you down. That's what happens when you rest in God. You stop striving for what the world insists you need and start receiving what God knows you need. And the difference is everything. The world runs on panic. He doesn't require your fear. He's asking for your faith. He doesn't need your stress. He wants your surrender. And when you give him that fully, freely, wholeheartedly, he begins to shift the entire atmosphere around your life. Help will come from unexpected places. Doors will open you didn't even knock on. People you never imagined will show up to bless you. And all of it not because you forced it, but because you flowed with his will, because you trusted. So don't define your life by what you see now. You're walking in a story still unfolding, crafted by the hands of a faithful God. What you're seeing right now is only a glimpsy, faint outline of what God is preparing behind the scenes. You may feel motionless, but heaven is not. You may feel delayed, but God's timing is never off. While it seems like nothing is shifting on the surface, God is moving beneath it all quietly, intentionally, eternally. The moment you stop striving and choose surrender is the moment you step into divine alignment. So rest not because the journey has ended, but because you've realized you're not carrying it alone. God walks with you through every step, every season of silence, every hidden struggle. Is attending even to the smallest details. you don't notice. He's shielding you from dangers you never knew existed. And he's working all things, not just some, all things together for your good. Yes, even the waiting, even the pain, even the confusion. This is your invitation to rest, not in discouragement, but in faith, not in exhaustion, but in hope. Because what's ahead is far greater than what you've left behind. God isn't finished. The author of your life is still writing, and the chapter to come will bring you to tears, not from grief, but from overwhelming joy. You will fall to your knees and say, God, you exceeded my prayers. You did more than I imagined, more than I deserve. That's how God finishes stories, when we trust him fully. So when God says relax, he's not pulling you away from purpose. He's drawing you into trust. Trust isn't weakness. It's tested strength. It's the quiet stance of a soul that refuses to be swayed by what the world sees, because it is anchored in what God has already said. God is not searching for your performance, your panic, or your noise. He is looking for stillness, because stillness is the language of surrender. And when your soul is fully surrendered, heaven moves. Heaven does not respond to chaos. It responds to faith. Remember this, God is not bound by your timeline. He doesn't operate on human clocks. He isn't shaken by urgency. When he tells you to rest, he's teaching you to release your grip on time. You may think you're behind, but God sees you right where you're meant to be. There's no pressure in heaven, no panic in the presence of God. The one who controls time is never in a rush. The one who sees your beginning and end knows exactly when and how your breakthrough will unfold. So stop measuring your value by what hasn't yet happened. Stop predicting your future based on temporary delay. Delay is not denial. It's often divine protection. Delay is where God builds what eyes have not seen and hearts have not dreamed. You asked him for something great. Do you really think greatness comes quickly? When God makes diamonds, he applies pressure. When he shapes vessels, he uses fire. And in that refining, he's creating something that will last for eternity. When God prepares a soul for its divine calling, he often begins with a whisper, be still. Wait, trust. Why? Because what you're called to carry requires strength. It demands depth. God isn't preparing you for a fleeting moment. He is shaping you for eternal purpose. You're not being molded for temporary applause. You're being formed for lasting impact. And to carry that kind of calling, your foundation must be obedience and not. So God gently removes every crutch, the hunger for validation, the obsession with speed, the idols of achievement, success, and control. He pulls you into a sacred stillness, and there in the quiet he speaks. He leans in and says, relax, I've already taken care of it. And that one word from heaven carries more weight than 10,000 battles. Right now there are things you've been praying for that feel impossibly far. But this is not delay for punishment. It's divine alignment. Because if the answer came too soon, it would overwhelm you. If you walk through the open door unprepared, the pressure would crush your peace. So God trains your endurance in silence. He refines your character in the unseen. He sharpens your discernment through the wait. And when everything is aligned, your heart ready, your enemies silenced, your strength secured, he moves swiftly, powerfully, undeniably. To rest in God is to live in a rhythm unlike the world. While culture shouts, go faster, do more, achieve now, God invites you to breathe deeply and simply know. Know what? Know that he is the one who parts seas. Know that he makes rivers in the desert, that he speaks life into dead things and calls the unseen into being. You don't need to wear yourself out proving your worth. God already called you worthy. You don't need to chase what was always yours. He's already assigned it. You don't have to fight for visibility. He already chose you. And those chosen by God, they don't chase, they attract. They don't strive, they prepare. They don't force, they flow. When God becomes your source, you stop leaning on people. You stop placing hope in shifting circumstances. You stop scanning the horizon for signs. Your eyes become fixed on the one who never changes. And in that focus, you find a strength that defies explanation, a peace that guards you, a joy that outlasts sorrow, a purpose no man can cancel. So lift your head, brush off the dust, let go of the fear that's clouded your vision. You are not abandoned. You are not invisible. You are not left behind. God hasn't forgotten you. He's hidden you. He's preserved you. And right now he is whispering to your spirit, relax. It's still coming. What I promised remains. And if that dream was planted by my hand, it will live. It will grow. It will come to pass. Not a single dream planted in your heart by God will perish. And if it truly came from him, it will not fade. It will flourish. Not one tear you've cried in faith has been ignored. God has seen it. All the silent sacrifices, the pain you couldn't voice, the weight you carried without complaint. And he is faithful, he is just, he is powerful, he is able. God will reward you, not according to man's clock, but in perfect timing. And when that time arrives, the very ones who overlooked you will witness God's glory. The very doors that shut in your face will swing open. The very places where you felt failure will become altars of testimony. But to arrive there, you must let go. Stop fighting battles that heaven already won. Stop engaging with people God already removed. Stop reliving wounds that God has already healed. And then relax, not just in word but in posture. Let your life show trust. Let your stillness proclaim belief. Let your patience become an act of worship. Because worship is more than a sound. It is a surrendered lifestyle. And when your life says, God, I trust you, heaven leans in. When you choose prayer over panic and worship over worry, heaven responds. Some of you are standing on the edge of exhaustion. You've whispered, I don't know if I can keep waiting, but let this truth find you. Weariness often comes just before the harvest. Pressure often increases just before the breakthrough. Silence often deepens just before the release. You're not finished. You're at the edge right before the divine unfolds. And if you can hold your peace, if you can breathe instead of break, if you can resist the urge to panic, God will step in with such authority that even your enemies won't be able to explain it away. You don't have to be afraid of missing your moment. When your life is held by God, nothing destined for you can pass you by. Not the opportunity, not the connection, not the blessing. What he spoke over you will find its way to you. It will pursue you. It will overtake you. And it will establish you in ways your own striving never could. That's why he says relax, because if you continue to carry everything in your own strength, you'll miss the miracle God wants to release through his. God doesn't need your anxiety. He wants your attention. He doesn't require your hustle. He desires your humility. He doesn't ask for your worry. He invites your worship. Because when you choose worship over worry, surrender over striving, faith over fear, God moves. He releases favor. He sends direction. He orchestrates divine appointments, not because you earned it, but because you aligned your heart with his. So today, choose differently. Choose peace instead of panic, stillness instead of striving, rest instead of resistance. Not because life is perfect, but because your God is. Not because the road is clear, but because he has already declared the victory. And when God is in control, nothing in your life is spinning out of control. If God has spoken peace over your life, then no storm, no matter how fierce, can overturn it. Let your soul quiet down. Let your spirit rise. Let your faith echo louder than your fear. Because when God says relax, he isn't asking for silence. He's inviting you to trust, not with shallow words or forced smiles, but with a steady, deep-rooted confidence that everything he promised is already in motion. Even when your eyes see nothing, even when your heart feels heavy, even when the world disagrees, God remains faithful. When he says relax, he's not telling you to deny your circumstances. He's asking you to shift your focus from what surrounds you to the one who reigns above it all. Too often we let the noise of the world drown out the whisper of God. We get addicted to movement, to fixing, to figuring it all out on our own. But in his perfect wisdom, God is teaching you something deeper, something eternal. He is training your spirit not to react, but to rise, not to flee the storm, but to trust through it. Divine peace isn't the absence of trouble, it's the presence of unwavering trust in the midst of it. You might think everything is unraveling, but maybe, just maybe, God is allowing certain things to fall apart so he can rebuild something unshakable. You prayed for breakthrough. Did you expect it to come through ease? Or did you trust that God would use the fire to refine you, the pressure to shape you, and the silence to fortify you? His ways are not always comfortable, but they are always perfect. God is not rushed by your timeline. He is not moved by your panic. He is working in the delay and the stillness he calls you to. It's not punishment, it's preparation. The world says, take control. God says, surrender it. The world shouts, push harder. God whispers, be still and watch me move. The world applauds anxiety and hustle. But God rewards obedience with peace. That's why your rest in him is not weakness, it's warfare. It confuses every voice expecting your breakdown. When you stand in holy calm, when you refuse to let fear dictate your step, you are declaring, my hope isn't in outcomes, it's in God. Don't let the heaviness of life outweigh the promises God planted in your heart. Don't let a temporary delay create permanent discouragement. Just because you can't trace his hand doesn't mean you can't trust his heart. God never walks away from his people. He doesn't grow tired. He doesn't misplace his promises. And if he has declared peace over your soul, hold to that peace like an anchor. Everything around you may shift, but his word will never return void. You are not lost in the crowd. You are not just another face in the multitude. God sees you clearly, intimately, intentionally. Your name is not forgotten among the billions. Your voice is not lost in the crowd. Every breath you take is known by the one who formed you. And when God says relax, he's saying, I've already handled the things that worry you. I've made provision for what you haven't yet seen. I've gone ahead of you. Trusting God is not weakness, it is divine strength. It's choosing stillness when the world is rushing. It's choosing peace when others panic. Is choosing to believe that even when nothing seems to be working in your favor, God is still turning everything for your good. Sometimes it takes more courage to stay seated in faith than to run in fear. Sometimes real strength is found in silence, waiting for God's voice before taking the next step. Look back over your life. How many times did you think it was the end, and yet God showed up right on time? How many nights did you cry thinking you wouldn't make it, but the sun still rose, provision still came, and somehow strength returned? You're not standing here today by accident. You're here because God carried you. In every moment you thought you couldn't go on, He was the one sustaining your steps. Now He is asking you to trust again, but deeper this time. Not just for daily provision, but for the impossible. Not just for survival, but for overflow. Not just for needs, but for the very desires of your heart, to receive what God has prepared. Your soul must learn the art of waiting without fear, hoping without doubt, standing without trembling. You must arrive at a place where peace becomes your natural state, where calm becomes your anchor, where stillness becomes your strength. Because when God moves, He moves in ways that human effort never could. His timing reveals glory no man can claim. And when restoration comes, it will be so complete, so undeniable, others will wonder how. But you will know it was God. It was His hand, His purpose. And it arrived not because you chased, but because you trusted, because you worshipped instead of worrying, because you chose rest over resistance. Some of you are crying out for direction, for clarity, for a sign. But hear this, God doesn't always shout. He often speaks in whispers. He leads not through chaos, but through quietness. And if your heart is filled with fear, you may miss His still small voice. That's why God is calling you to calm, not just outwardly, but within. Let your peace be rooted in surrender, not circumstance. Because if you can trust Him in the storm, you will hear Him in the silence. And if you hear Him in the silence, you will walk with bold purpose even when the path is hidden. Your future is not hanging by a thread. It is securely held in the hands of a faithful God. Your next chapter is not uncertain. It has already been written by the author of time. And this season of waiting, it's not wasted. It's producing in you something no other season could birth. Every moment you spend trusting God is a seed sown into eternity. And when the harvest comes, it will not be because of your striving. It will be because of His promise. So quiet your soul, breathe slowly, stop imagining the worst. Heaven is not in a panic. God is not caught off guard. He isn't improvising. He saw this exact moment long before you took your first breath. He knew the wounds you carry, and He already planned the healing. He knew the doors that would close, and He's already prepared the ones that will open wide. Nothing surprises God. Nothing detours His plan. Nothing can cancel what He has declared. And the more you relax into His sovereignty, the more every attack against you begins to lose its power. The more you rest in His promises, the quieter the voices of fear become. The more you lean fully into His faithfulness, the less your past can define you. You are not at the mercy of chaos. You are in the hands of the One who governs every outcome. And when your spirit fully embraces that truth, you become unshakable. You start walking with grace. You speak with authority. You live with courage. When God says relax, He's not dismissing your pain. He's lifting your eyes. He's calling you to rise above fear, to step out of striving, and to look again not at what's lacking, but at who is present. God is here. And if God is here, then peace is here, provision is here, wisdom is here, strength is here, everything you need is in Him. Everything your heart longs for will come through him. So release the burden. Let the heaviness lift. Let your soul breathe and quietly say, I will trust. I will wait. I will believe. You may not know the timing. You may not understand the path, but you know the one who holds both. And if you know who, then you already hold the answer. Let that certainty become your anchor. Let that truth shield your heart. Let it steady your steps. Because when God speaks, he speaks only what is eternal, only what is holy, only what cannot fail. So let his word be enough. Let his voice be louder than your fear. Let his peace be the place your soul calls home. Everything meant for you, everything you've prayed for, waited for, believed for, will find you. Not because you chased it, but because you trusted. Not because you forced it, but because you flowed with God's timing. That is the power of resting in God. That is the reward of unwavering trust. When peace floods your life, when answers unfold, when provision overflows, when breakthrough shatters every barrier, don't forget this moment. Don't forget the silence. Don't forget the sacred stillness, because it was there in the quiet place that your miracle was conceived. It was there that heaven responded. It was there that God moved in your stillness, your surrender, your unwavering trust. When God says relax, he is not merely offering comfort. He is issuing a divine invitation, a call that draws a line between those who walk by sight and those who walk by faith. It is a call to spiritual maturity, a call to trust, not in your feelings, not in the noise of the world, not in the shifting opinions of others, but in the unshakable sovereign nature of God. And when you realize who is speaking, his words become more than advice. They become your compass, your protection, your peace. His voice is not like man's. Man speaks from limitation. God speaks from eternity. Man reacts. God ordained. And when he speaks a word over your life, it reverberates across time. To rest in God is not to give up. It is to come into alignment with heaven. It means your soul has stopped resisting divine timing. It means you are no longer trying to fight spiritual battles with human strength. It means fear no longer determines your direction. The more you know God, the less room fear has to grow. The more deeply you trust him, the less control you feel the need to grasp. You begin to see that your steps are not random, and they are ordered. And when your life is surrendered to his hands, even the detours carry purpose. There are moments when God's silence thunders louder than 1,000 answers. 'Cause it's in the silence where faith is forged. It's in stillness where strength is cultivated. And when there's nothing left to doubt, trust is your only option. That's where the deepest kind of faith takes root. Because true faith is not proven by results. It's proven by obedience. And your quiet obedience in stillness speaks more in heaven than all your frantic efforts ever could. The world won't understand your peace. It may call it foolish. It won't understand how you rest while storms rage. It will question your calm, mock your patience, and misread your stillness. But the world cannot see the sacred covenant between your heart and God. It cannot touch the strength born from surrender. While others chase applause, validation, and visible results, you dwell in the quiet strength of divine alignment. While some build on sand, you stand firm upon the rock of God's unchanging promise. And when you are in alignment with God, you're no longer anxious about who left, what failed, or what hasn't yet arrived. Because your trust is not rooted in circumstance. It is anchored in the faithfulness of God. You know this by now. What walked away was never meant to stay. What failed wasn't your future. And what hasn't arrived yet is still being prepared behind the veil. God doesn't withhold to punish you. He withholds to protect you. He doesn't delay to test your limits. He delays to shape your purpose. And the moment you see the waiting as a gift, your burden lightens and your peace deepens. Because so many chase what was never meant for them. So many grasp, strive, plead for things that would harm them if granted too soon. But those who wait on the Lord, those who trust and rest in His timing, they don't just receive blessings. They receive destiny. They receive what is tailor-made by heaven, crafted to fit their calling perfectly. It comes without sorrow, without confusion. It comes wrapped in grace, clarity, and divine favor. It's time to let go of your dialogue with doubt, to stop entertaining fear as if it belongs. Doubt is a thief. Worry is a liar. And both are after your peace that has already been given to you by God. You don't need a new word from God. You need to believe the one He's already spoken. His words are not hopeful guesses. They are not fragile ideas. They are eternal decrees spoken by the one who formed the stars and shaped your soul. Unmoved by time, opinion, or circumstance, when God tells you to relax, He is not calming your nerves. He's realigning your spirit. He is lifting you out of fear's fog and placing you into the clarity of trust. Because fear always demands an answer, but faith only asks for obedience. Fear says, what if it never happens? Faith says it will happen in God's time. Fear sees lack. Faith sees the source. And in that moment when you choose faith over fear, the heaviness begins to lift. The atmosphere around you shifts. Your heart regains strength in the quiet. Some of you have carried burdens that were never yours to bear. You fought battles God never assigned to you. You've begged for things He already planned to give you, but in His time. And now your soul is weary. But God is not calling you to fight harder. He is calling you to surrender. Let go. Release the panic. Release the control. Release the pressure to understand every detail. You don't need to know the way if you trust the one leading you. Let His presence become your dwelling. Not just your hiding place in crisis, but your home in every season. Let trust be your new posture. Let stillness become your strength. Because the soul that rests in God cannot be shaken. It does not fear the future. It does not bend to the waves. It stands firm not in arrogance, not in ignorance, but in quiet, unshakable confidence, because it knows who holds the wind and speaks to the storm. And when it feels like nothing is changing, that may be the moment when everything is moving in motion. Because in the silence, God is not absent. He is active. Behind the scenes, He is orchestrating what no human effort could arrange. In the quiet, He is forming your inner strength, stretching your faith, expanding your heart. Because what lies ahead requires more than just longing, it requires readiness. God will never send you into your destiny with an unprepared soul. That's why the silence matters. That's why the stillness is sacred. That's why this waiting season is not empty, it is holy. You're not waiting for something trivial. You're waiting for something eternal. You're not waiting for scraps. You're waiting for the fullness of heaven's design. And anything with that kind of weight cannot be rushed. The deeper the foundation, the taller the calling. So if you feel stretched beyond your comfort, if it seems like God is digging deep into your spirit, it's because the blessing He's preparing demands unshakable roots. Let your heart be anchored in that truth. Let your mind be renewed in that perspective. Let your soul rise again with quiet strength. Because God is not asking you to fake peace. He's asking you to believe in His promise. He's not asking you to hide your hurt. He's asking you to hand it over. You don't need to mask your fear or bury your weariness. You only need to place them in His hands and then rest in the certainty that He is enough. When God says relax, it's not just comfort, it's command. His word is your authority. His promise is your anchor. His voice is your victory. You don't need more confirmation when the command has already been spoken. Stop chasing signs when God has already given the signal. Rest, trust, wait. You are not being rejected, you are being refined. You are not being forgotten, you are being formed. You are not being left behind, you are being positioned for greater. And when the moment comes, what God brings into your life will not only bless you, it will overflow through you. It will lift everything around you. It will transform what you thought could never change. Because the greatest proof of trust is not striving, it's resting. And the highest expression of faith is peace. Not the kind of peace the world offers, but the peace that comes from knowing you are wholly, securely, and eternally held by the hands of God. Let that assurance sink into every part of you. Let it renew your thoughts, slow your breath, steady your steps, and set the rhythm of your days. Because what is meant for you cannot miss you. What has been ordained for you will not stay delayed. And what God has spoken will come to pass. Not by effort, not by fear, not by force, but by His power, His hand, and His perfect time. Relax. Not because it's easy, but because God said so, and that is more than enough. Why do those marked by God often walk the path alone? Why is it that those who carry His anointing seem to be surrounded more by silence than applause, more by betrayal than by loyalty, more by misunderstanding than by support? My friend, if you're listening right now and carrying the weight of isolation deep within, know this: you are not being punished, you are being prepared. This is not rejection, it is divine redirection. God draws you away from the noise of the world, not to abandon you, but to commune with you in intimacy. He removes the crowd so He can have your heart completely. You are not forgotten. You are being hidden. Hidden not because you are insignificant, but because you are precious and worthy of divine protection. When God places His hand upon someone, He often surrounds that life with stillness, not to make them suffer, but to cause them to grow. And in that dependence, you will discover a strength no friendship could ever provide, a peace no company could offer, and an identity not rooted in approval, but in the unshakable truth that God sees you, knows you, and has called you. The chosen do not walk the easy road. They walk the narrow one, a path not shaped by popularity, but by purpose. Many will question your discipline. Many won't understand your silence. They may wonder why you avoid the spotlight, but you walk this way because you know something they do not. God does not anoint the crowd. He anoints the call. And the call must first be set apart before they are ever lifted up. Before God uses someone publicly, He shapes them privately. So don't grieve the friendships that faded or the people who walked away. If they left, they were never meant to be part of your assignment. If they turned against you, it was because their hearts couldn't handle the light God has placed within you. When you are chosen, you must understand not everyone will recognize your value, because your value is spiritual, not always visible. The world sees through the lens of flesh, but God looks upon the heart. And those whom God has called are not validated by crowds, but by the voice of the Father and the silence where He speaks most intimately. When God sets you apart, it's because He is about to reveal something sacred within you. That loneliness, it's not a void, it's space being made for heaven's downloads. That quietness, it's not absence, it is the closeness of God. When others walk away, God comes near. When the world turns cold, God opens His arms. And what He builds in the hidden places, no one can destroy in the open. Solitude is not a curse, it is the very ground where strength is. Separation is the sacred classroom where the spirit is refined. When you find yourself without anyone to lean on, that is when you truly learn to lean on God alone. And let me assure you, those who walk with God know no matter how alone they may seem, they are never truly alone. They walk hand in hand with the one who placed the stars in the heavens. They sit at the feet of the one who authored all wisdom. They are held by the one whose love never fades, never falters, and never fails. People may turn away, friends may betray, but God remains unshaken. And when you have Him, you lack nothing at all. Those chosen by God often walk without companions. Not because they are lacking, but because their worth is too high. Not because they are flawed, but because they are consecrated. God doesn't allow just anyone to handle what He has declared sacred. There is a holiness within your soul that God fiercely protects. He is sheltering you from connections that could compromise your calling. He is keeping certain relationships away, not to punish you, but to preserve the purity of your path with Him. Some were meant only for a chapter, not the entire journey. And when their role is complete, let them go, because clinging to what God is removing only delays what He's preparing. The chosen must undergo testing. They must be refined through fire, and fire does not roar in crowds. It burns in quiet places. The deepest revelations do not come through noise but through silence. They are whispered in the stillness of caves and spoken loudest in the wilderness. That's where God shapes His vessels in the unseen, away from eyes that cannot yet comprehend their worth. And when His timing is perfect, He will unveil you. Not for your fame, but so His glory may be known through your life. So prepare to be hidden. Prepare to be misunderstood. Prepare to walk paths no one else dares to tread. But don't lose heart. For every tear you've cried in silence, He has collected. For every sleepless night, He has drawn near. For every wound of betrayal, He is writing justice with His own hand. God knows who turned away. He knows what was said behind your back, but He also knows what lies ahead. And when the hour comes, He will lift you, not by the applause of men, but by the power of His own hand. And when God lifts, no one can pull you down. The chosen walk alone because they are tuned to another frequency. They don't crave the sound of gossip. They long for the voice of God. They don't chase applause. They pursue alignment. They don't seek attention, they seek divine assignment, and for that reason they travel roads few are willing to take. They take stands few are willing to risk, but in doing so they walk with heaven. They carry burdens that others are too weak to bear, and yet they carry them with grace. They move forward with humility, not because they seek recognition, but because they understand that their strength does not come from human approval. It flows from God. So if you find yourself in a season of isolation, don't resist it. Embrace it. It is God's divine method of preparing you for the elevation that lies ahead. The deeper the solitude, the higher the calling, the greater the pain, the heavier the anointing, and the more intense the warfare, the more powerful the purpose. You were never created to blend in. You were designed to stand out. You were not called to be accepted by the crowd. You were chosen to be set apart. And because you are set apart, not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will embrace you. Not everyone will remain, but that's not your burden to bear. Your focus must be obedience. Your focus must be purity. Your focus must be walking faithfully in the purpose God ordained for you long before the foundations of the earth were laid. Let God be your friend. Let Him be your comforter. Let Him be your comforter. Let Him be your comforter when every other voice is silent. Let His voice be enough. When the world turns its back, let God fight your battles. When you feel unseen, remember God sees you. He sees your heart. He sees your obedience. He sees your quiet sacrifice. He sees the love you gave when others offered only hate. He sees the loyalty you kept when others walked away. And for every moment you chose God over comfort, God over popularity, God over relationships, He is preparing a reward for you. Not just in the life to come, but even in this one. You will reap in joy what you once sowed in tears. You will dance in the very places where you once had to crawl, where you sat alone. You will be surrounded by divine favor. But don't rush the process. Don't manufacture connections that heaven never approved. Don't welcome company that drains your soul. Don't let loneliness push you into compromising your calling. Your worth is not found in how many stand beside you, but in how closely you walk with God. And those who walk closest with Him will often walk alone. But oh, the peace they carry, the wisdom they embody, the power that flows through their quiet obedience. The chosen ones, they are God's secret weapons. They may appear ordinary, but they carry extraordinary purpose. They may seem unseen, but they are divinely overseen by the Almighty. And when God declares, now the hidden will be revealed, those ignored will be honored, those mocked will be magnified, not because they fought for themselves, but because they trusted God to fight for them. So receive this truth deep within. When God places a heavy anointing on a life, He often removes every distraction, not to isolate you, but to fine-tune your spirit to His divine instructions. And in that stillness you will hear heaven. You are not losing people or gaining clarity. You are not being left behind. You are being carried by the unseen hand of God. Isolation is not your enemy. It is the sacred womb where destiny begins to take form. And in this womb of separation, God plants courage, cultivates discernment, and fortifies the soul. When no one stands with you, it's because God is surrounding you, before you, behind you, beside you, and within you. The chosen are never shaped by the noise of the world. They are shaped by the whisper of God. And His voice does not compete in crowd cities revealed in silence. That's why God draws His chosen ones away from every voice that distorts or distracts from His truth. He silences what is familiar, so that your spirit may awaken to what is holy. This season of separation is not rejection. It is refinement. And refinement is never soft. It comes like fire. But God's fire is not here to consume. It is here to cleanse. What you are feeling is not abandonment. It's the holy sting of solitude. It's not emptiness. It's the divine burning away of what cannot go with you into your calling. Many say they long to be used by God, but few are willing to pay the cost of being chosen. And it costs everything. It will cost your comfort. It will cost your popularity. It will cost some relationships. And often that cost looks like loneliness. But hear this clearly. The price is nothing compared to the reward, because what God gives in return is eternal. He gives vision that sees beyond what eyes can perceive. He grants wisdom that discerns truth from deception. He places authority upon you that shakes the very gates of hell. And all of it, every ounce of it, comes not in a crowd, but in the quiet, in the place where it's just you and God face to face. This is why you feel disconnected when surrounded by many. This is why surface conversation leaves you empty. This is why your spirit discerns deception even behind smiling faces. Because you are tuned to a higher frequency. You were not built for shallow connection. You were made for divine alignment. You cannot tolerate gossip when your ears have been trained to hear heaven. You cannot disappear into the crowd when God has marked you for something greater. You cannot live like you are ordinary when there is extraordinary weight resting on your shoulders. The chosen cannot be comfortable in the crowd because they were never made to follow. They were called to lead. And leadership, when it comes from God's hand, is a solitary road. It means seeing what others refuse to see, hearing what others block out, carrying burdens others dismiss, protecting visions others will mock. But do not let their laughter disturb your peace. Do not let their absence shake your obedience. They laugh because they cannot see what God has shown you. They walk away because they cannot hear what God has spoken to your spirit. And God allows it because what He has planted within your soul must be shielded from small minds, shallow hearts, and distracted spirits. Even your enemies, yes, even they are part of His divine plan. For God often permits opposition not to harm you, but to reveal your inner strength. He allows betrayal to test where your loyalty truly lies. Not with people, but with Him. He permits misunderstanding not to humiliate, but to show you that your validation flows only from Him. When people walk away, it's God unveiling who is never meant to stay. When doors are shut, it's God preparing to open the ones He's chosen for you. When the voices around you fade, it's because God is readying you to hear the one voice that truly matters, His. There is unmatched power in having no one but God. There is deep clarity in the quiet. When every other sound is stripped away, there is transformation that comes only through being broken in silence. And when God breaks you, He does not break you to destroy. He breaks you to rebuild. Stronger, wiser, sharper, purer. And when He has finished that work, no enemy can undo what God has shaped. When God forms you in hidden places, He makes you unshakable. When the light finally finds you, you become the kind of soul that walks through fire untouched, faces storms unshaken, endures betrayal, and still loves because your foundation is no longer people but God Himself. The chosen often have no friends, not because they are unfriendly, but because their spirit runs too deep to remain in shallow waters. Their loyalty belongs to truth, not comfort. Their passion is for purpose, not popularity. Their strength is poured into assignment, not attachment. And this confuses the world. They want your presence, but not your purity. They desire your light, but not your standard. They admire your strength, but are unsettled by your silence. And when you choose solitude over conformity, they label you as difficult. But this is the cost of divine distinction. And remember this, God never rushes the preparation of his chosen. You may be hidden for years, misunderstood for seasons, but all of it is part of his blueprint. What he is cultivating within you cannot be rushed, because God isn't forming a moment. He is establishing a legacy of obedience, a legacy of resilience, a legacy untouched by compromise or distraction. So if today you feel like you're walking this road alone, hold fast to this truth. You are not lost. You are being led. You are not abandoned. You are being advanced. You are not empty. You are being filled. And what fills you now is not something man can give. It comes from heaven alone. The weight of your assignment feels heavy because its purpose is eternal. And only those who have learned to walk with God in the secret place can carry that weight in public. Every time you choose silence while others speak against you, you are being refined. Every time you release a toxic bond, you are being fortified. Every moment you spend in solitude, seeking God's voice instead of chasing man's applause, you are rising. And one day they will look back and wondering how you endured, how you carried such weight with unwavering grace. And the answer will be simple. God, it was God who held you steady. God who shielded you. God who protected your name while others tried to tarnish it. God who made a way when no hand was extended. God who whispered hope when the world shouted despair. God who fought unseen battles on your behalf. God who opened doors no one could close. And it was there in the quiet, in the stillness, in the solitude that God became everything. So stop searching for validation from those who cannot see the depths of your purpose. Stop longing for companionship that lacks the capacity for your calling. Stop surrendering your peace just to maintain someone else's comfort. You were never meant to blend in. You were set apart to radiate. And the only way to shine in darkness is to surrender to the fire God has placed within you. Walk forward with head held high heaven. If you must walk alone because the path of the chosen is never crowded but it is covered by the hand of God, that covering is more precious than any company. That protection outlasts any partnership. That presence is more powerful than the approval of man. Let them wonder why you walk alone. Let them question your silence. Let them doubt your direction. You owe them no explanation. You owe God your obedience. And even if that obedience feels lonely, it is far greater than compromise, wrapped in applause. You may feel friendless, but you're not without purpose. You may feel tribulous, but you're rooted in truth. And truth, when carried by the hand of God, is more powerful than 1,000 empty relationships. This is the path of the chosen, to be tested in hidden places, so they can be trusted in public ones. To be emptied of all distractions, so they can be filled with divine assignment. To be stripped of counterfeit comforts, so they can stand wrapped in heavenly strength. God is not delaying you. He is developing you. And when his work is complete, what rests on your life will be undeniable. There comes a moment in the life of the chosen when the question shifts. No longer why me, but instead it had to be me. For the burdens you bear, the battles you withstand, and the isolation you endure, they are not accidents. They are by design, heaven's design. When God sets you apart, he separates you from the patterns of the crowd. He draws you out of shallow waters and leads you into the depths. And in that deep place there is no noise, no distraction, no false security. There is only God, and only those who have walked in that holy depth can truly say they have been emptied of all human dependency and filled with the power of God alone. Some of you sit in wonder asking why your phone no longer rings, why gatherings feel distant, why you can be surrounded yet still feel unseen. It is because your spirit has grown beyond the level of your former circles. When God raises your calling, He also increases your separation. You cannot walk in high places while holding on to low attachments. You cannot carry a divine assignment while entertaining carnal company. So God in His mercy removes what cannot go with you. Yes, it may hurt, but it is mercy, not rejection. The silence that now surrounds you is sacred. It is holy ground, and the chosen must learn to stand on that holy ground with reverence, with humility, and with unwavering focus. There is a depth to the chosen that the world cannot grasp. They may see your calm, but they do not see the storm you've weathered. They may admire your strength, but they do not know the night you wept with only God's unseen presence as comfort. They notice the fruit, but not the pruning. And still, through every season of breaking, God was building. Through every betrayal, He was proving. Through every moment of silence, He was speaking directly into your soul. Words no man could ever teach. Chosen ones are formed in hidden places. They are fortified in stillness. And their reward is not in applause, but in the quiet, unwavering approval of God. While others chase platforms, the chosen pursue purity. While many crave attention, they seek alignment. And because of this posture, God entrusts them with sacred assignments no one else can carry. He hides them not to punish, but to protect. For anything revealed too early becomes vulnerable to destruction. But that which God conceals, He sustains. And what He sustains, He will unveil in due time with undeniable power. You may not have many to confide in, but you carry a voice full of heaven's wisdom. For when God is your teacher, rivers of understanding flow from within. You may not have crowds to celebrate you, but the heavens are watching, and your quiet obedience echoes louder than 1,000 chairs. God does not need noise to confirm His call on your life. His confirmation is internal. It is the peace that cannot be explained, the strength that arises from nowhere, the clarity in the midst of confusion, the holy fire that burns within you, assuring your spirit that you are walking in purpose, even if you're walking alone. And know this, the chosen are not lonely because they lack love. They are lonely because they carry a kind of love this world does not yet recognize. They are not isolated because they are unloved. They are set apart because their love for God has become their highest priority. And anything or anyone that would compete with that love, that focus, that divine intimacy must be removed. This is not cruelty, is covenant. And in covenant, God protects what is His by cutting away anything that challenges His place in your life. Understand this clearly. When you walk with God, you will be misunderstood because your spirit follows a code this world does not comprehend. You walk away from drama, not out of weakness, but because peace has become your closest companion. You overlook insults not because you're fearful, but because your calling is far too sacred to be slowed by petty distractions. You choose stillness in the midst of chaos because your soul longs for what only God can give. And in those moments when no one seems to understand you, when you're overlooked, when no one stands by your side, God surrounds you. You may appear to stand alone, but you carry the strength of multitudes because the Almighty is behind you. The chosen are often misunderstood even by their own families. They're the ones called different, the quiet ones, the ones who felt spiritual weight since childhood. They see life through a different lens. They detect deception before it speaks. They sense what others cannot, because they have been marked by God from the beginning. And that mark, it is not visible, but it is undeniable. It draws opposition. Yes, but it also draws divine favor. It may set you apart from what is familiar, but it aligns you with what is eternal. You are not behind. You are not late. You are being developed. And the deeper the call, the longer the shaping. Do not compare your pace to those beside you. Their race is not yours. Their affirmation is not your validation. Let God guide your pace. Let Him set your schedule. Let Him hold your timeline. Because when your appointed moment comes, no one can block what God has already declared. And when it's not yet time, no effort can push what He has kept hidden. Yes, the chosen often walk alone, not because they are unloved, but because their love is preserved, set apart for sacred things, held for holy purposes, protected not for popularity, but for purity. They are spiritual warriors, silent watchmen, vessels of fire in a world grown cold. And fire, true fire, cannot be tamed. It doesn't blend in, it transforms, it purifies. And that is why many cannot remain around you, because your presence challenges what they refuse to surrender. But don't shrink back to make others comfortable. Don't dim your light to fit the shadows. God did not call you to blend. He called you to stand apart, to carry truth, to walk with clarity, to face darkness unflinching, and to do it even if you must do it alone. Because God walks with the one who chooses to walk with Him alone. And to that one, He gives strength the crowd can never offer. You don't need 10 people to approve your path. You need one voice guards. And when He says go, you go. When He says wait, you wait. When He says speak, you speak. And even if no one listens, even if no one supports, even if no one stands, God stands with you. And in His perfect time, He will reveal that your isolation was not wasted, that your silence held purpose, that your sacrifice was never forgotten. Those who walk alone with God are the ones who shape the world quietly. They don't need microphones to be heard. Their whispers carry the weight of heaven. They don't need crowds to validate their steps. They walk in conviction, not applause. And when they rise not with man's momentum, but with the power of the one who formed them in the secret place. And when the night feels longest, when your heart aches from being misunderstood, overlooked, even abandoned by those you once trusted, remember this. It is in the sacred stillness that God speaks most clearly. He does not always reveal Himself in crowded rooms. Sometimes He waits. He waits for the noise to fade, the faces to leave, the distractions to fall silent, just so your spirit can tune fully to Him. When everything is stripped away and all you have left is God, you discover that He is more than enough. The chosen are shaped in the unseen. They are trained in quiet obedience. Not when eyes are watching, not when applause is loud, but in the shadows where only God is measuring their faithfulness. And how set apart they are. The chosen cannot follow the masses. They are led by holy conviction. They cannot dwell in compromise. Their spirits are tethered to truth. While many chase comfort, they chase truth. Even if it isolates, even if it costs everything, their loyalty cannot be bought by ease. It is sealed in a deeper covenant with God. And because they choose that road, the higher road, they must walk it alone. But that loneliness is not emptiness. It is preparation. God is not raising wanderers. He is forging warriors, not vessels of fame, but vessels of fire. And yes, people will question your quiet. They will misread your silence. They will call you distant, cold, arrogant, when in truth you are simply set apart. You have outgrown shallow talk and surface ties. Your spirit has awakened to the eternal, and now your eyes no longer chase what sparkles. Briefly, they are fixed on what is everlasting. And yes, that focus may unsettle others, but it makes you unstoppable. Because when God holds your full attention, no distraction can derail you. No slander can stain you. No betrayal can break you. You become immovable, not by your strength, but by the foundation God has planted beneath your feet. Chosen ones carry burdens the world cannot see. They feel deeply. They discern danger before it comes. They smile in public even as they weep in silence, because their calling demands more than others can comprehend. And God allows it. He allows the pressing. He allows the pain. Because what He is producing in you is rare. And what is rare is precious. It cannot be rushed. It cannot be cheapened. It cannot be polluted. That is why God isolates you, not to deprive you, but to purify you. He removes distractions so that the anointing He places within you will not be diluted by the noise of the world. And in that purification you come to discover who you truly are. You learn that your worth was never found in who accepted you, but in who created you. God does not consult human opinion before calling someone. He doesn't wait for others to approve before He sets someone apart. When God chooses, He chooses in full awareness of your flaws, your failures, your history, and still He says you. Not because you are perfect, but because you are willing to be shaped, broken, rebuilt, and refined. Willing to walk alone if that path means walking with God. Willing to be rejected if that's what it takes to remain faithful. The chosen understand that every delay is divine. Every closed door is protection. Every betrayal is a bridge to purpose. They do not collapse under rejection because they know rejection is redirection. They do not fear silence because they've learned to hear God best in the quiet. They are not afraid of solitude because they've tasted the sweetness of God's presence. And once you have encountered the beauty of walking with God, no earthly connection can match that peace. Do not envy those who seem surrounded, those with many friends, endless admirers, constant attention, for what appears as gain to the world is often a burden to the spirit. The chosen do not measure life by what they collect, but by how closely they walk in obedience. And true obedience, it leads not toward crowds, but toward consecration, not toward applause, but into anonymity. Because before God gives you a voice to speak loudly, He trains your soul to listen deeply. He knows that those who have endured the fire of isolation will not be swayed by compliments. They will not be seduced by popularity. They will not compromise under pressure. Why? Because they've known God in the places where no one else remained. They were fortified in valleys, so they could stand on mountaintops without pride. They were emptied so God could fill them with what the world cannot offer, something that can neither be bought nor stolen. They've learned to walk without crutches. Now they walk with spiritual authority, and authority rooted in God, not in man. The chosen are not bitter about solitude. They are sharpened by it. They don't grieve over closed doors. They praise God for them. They don't plead to fit in because they've outgrown the places that once felt familiar. And that's okay because they were never called to be accepted. They were sent to fulfill an assignment. And every tear, every betrayal, every long silent night was shaping them for that divine mission. So if you're walking through a season where no one seems to understand you, where friends have vanished, family misreads you, and you feel like a stranger in the very rooms that once felt like home, know this: God is with you. He is not punishing you. He is positioning you. The solitude you're experiencing is not ordinary. It is sacred. The silence you feel is not emptiness. It is holy. Because what God is doing in you now is preparation, preparing you for something far greater than what you had to leave behind. There is a strength that only emerges from walking with God alone, a clarity that only comes when every other voice is silenced, a confidence that cannot be shaken because it was forged when no one else stood beside you. And still God made a way. That strength will carry you. That clarity will lead you. That confidence will steady you when the storms rage. For the one who walks with God may appear alone to the world, but in truth they are never alone. So do not curse the loneliness. Embrace it. Let it do what it was sent to do. Let it peel away every false dependence. Let it uncover every idol. Let it purify your heart from every tie not rooted in God. Because when this process is finished, you will not come out the same. You will rise with a fire that cannot be extinguished, with a peace that goes beyond understanding, with a focus that cannot be shaken. The world may never fully understand the chosen, but that was never God's intention. He didn't call you to be understood. He called you to be effective. And effectiveness always carries a cost. It costs comfort. It costs conformity. It costs silence long enough for God's voice to become the only one that matters. And when that moment arrives, when God says, "Now nothing in heaven or on earth can stop what He's about to release through your life." Because when God marks someone, He doesn't ask permission. He doesn't consult the opinions of people. He doesn't wait for validation from friends, family, or mentors. When God chooses a soul for His purpose, that soul becomes untouchable by man's opinions and unstoppable by man's standards. God's hand becomes their seal, and where His seal rests, no force of darkness can prevail. That is why the chosen walk alone, not because they've been rejected by man, but because they've been accepted by God in a way too sacred for the common crowd to comprehend. When you walk with God, your pace will be different. Others may rush ahead, chasing titles, chasing trophies, while you remain still, waiting for His whisper. Others may build quickly, stacking applause and public praise while you are hidden, learning to build on unshakable foundations. It's not because you're slow. It's because you're led by stillness. It's not because you lack skill. It's because your steps are lined with heaven's rhythm. And those whose steps are ordered by God cannot be rushed by pressure. They don't sacrifice obedience for speed. They understand this eternal truth. Timing in the spiritual realm is everything. Nothing truly fruitful grows outside of God's appointed moment. The chosen often face warfare that others cannot perceive. That's why some days feel unbearably heavy. That's why certain battles remain invisible to those around you, yet pierce you to the core. You are not imagining it. You are not being dramatic. What weighs on you is real, because your calling is real. God does not pour oil on empty vessels. He anoints those He has prepared, and He prepares through pressure. And yes, pressure comes with pain, but also with purpose. When God increases the pressure, It is because he is enlarging your capacity. The chosen wrestle in places no one sees. They weep in silence. They pray with groanings too deep for words. And yet they rise clothed in a strength that defies human understanding. They often walk without a hand to hold, so they cling tightly to the truth. They may not have constant encouragement. So they prophesy to their own soul, declaring life in the midst of fire. And this is what makes them dangerous. Not because they shout, but because they are anchored. Not because they stand on stages, but because they stand in unwavering relationship with God, bond untouched by man. You may feel unseen, but you are never unnoticed by heaven. You may feel unheard, but your cries echo through the courts of the Almighty. You may feel forgotten, but God never loses sight of those he calls his own. His eyes are always on you. His presence is always near. He walks beside you through every lonely valley, every barren wilderness, every towering mountain of resistance. And when no one else claps for you, God records your obedience. When no one sees your sacrifices, God remembers everyone. Understand this. Not everyone can carry what you carry. That's why your circle is small. That's why you never quite fit in. That's why shallow conversations feel heavy and empty. Praise feels hollow. You were never made for the superficial. You were built for the sacred. And the sacred is costly. It demands surrender. It requires separation. But that separation is not punishment. It is preservation. God removes what would poison your soul. He subtracts what would slow your pace. He isolates you not to harm you, but to prepare you. Every lonely step has been ordered. Every loss has been measured. Every delay has been divinely timed. You must understand, not all company is holy company. Some people were sent only to distract. Some were meant to derail your destiny. So when God called you high, he clears the path first. Don't mourn those who walked away. Don't beg for closed doors to open. What left was not meant to stay. What ended was never meant to go where you are going. If you had fought it, it would have broken you. If you had clung to it, it would have poisoned the promise. God is not cruel. He is precise. And what he removes, he always replaces in due time with something better, stronger, more aligned to your eternal assignment. Chosen ones are not easily impressed by the world. Why? Because they've tasted something far greater. They've seen what worldly success cannot give. They've stood in the presence of divine wisdom. They've walked with God through storms and shadows and discovered a peace that fame could never offer. That is why they don't chase trends. That is why they don't bend to pressure. Their hearts are anchored in a place deeper than applause. A place where faith is not just a word but a way of life. Where trust is forged through fire, not flattery. So when others mock your silence, when they misinterpret your stillness, when they can't grasp your distance, says smile, for they have no idea what God is crafting in the hidden places of your soul. Let them talk. Let them walk away. Let them misunderstand, for none of their opinions can stop what God has set in motion. You do not need to justify your calling to those who cannot discern it. You do not need to explain your process to those who were never meant to walk beside you. Keep walking. Keep trusting, even when the road feels endless. Even when the burden seems too heavy, even when the silence feels like a void, because every step you take in faith is tearing down walls in the unseen. Every obedient yes is shattering strongholds. Every tear you shed is watering seeds that will soon bloom. And when that season of blooming arrives, you will look back and know it was God. God carried you. God whispered, "Keep going." When your strength was gone, and in that moment when the world sees the fruit of your faith, they will not understand how you endured. But you will. You'll know it wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It wasn't connections. It was the hand of God, the favor of God. It was the silence of God that built you deeper than 1,000 affirmations ever could. And that silence was never absence. It was presence in its rawest, purest, most powerful form. So now, chosen one, step boldly into your calling. Embrace your solitude. Wear your isolation like armor. Let this quiet season be your battlefield of preparation. Because soon what God has been forming in the dark will be unveiled in the light. And when he raises you, no man will be able to take the credit. Only God. Only God could write a story like yours. Only God could mold a soul so refined. Only God could lift someone from obscurity into eternal impact. And that, dear friend, is what makes you chosen. So now I ask you, what will you do with your solitude? What will you do with the silence that surrounds you? Will you waste it longing for the noise of the crowd? Or will you bow your heart before God and allow him to speak into the quiet? Will you chase after those who walked away? Or will you run deeper into the arms of the one who never left? Will you mourn what you've lost? Will you rise with boldness knowing this truth? When God removes, he always replaces with purpose, with power, with peace. This is your moment, your sacred invitation, not to be more liked, not to be more accepted, but to be more aligned with God's perfect plan for your life. If you feel alone right now, it is not proof that you've been forgotten. It is evidence that you are being prepared. Prepared for something weighty, something holy, something eternal. And now is the time to release everything that has tried to cling to your calling, every false friend, every fruitless habit, every fear that has stolen your focus. You were never made to blend in. You were created to stand apart. You were not designed to follow the crowd. You were set apart to follow God. Let the world misunderstand you. Let them walk away. Let them whisper. Because when you walk with God, you walk with a truth that needs no validation. You carry a light that cannot be dimmed. You carry a calling that cannot be canceled. Your worth is not in how many people surround you, but in how closely you walk with the Father. The crowd may never clap, the world may never applaud, but if God is pleased, you lack nothing. Now is the time to return to the secret place, to come back to the quiet where your soul can breathe again, to kneel, to surrender, to pour out everything that has been weighing you down. Let your heart speak honestly to God. Let your tears water the soil of your next season. Let your silence be filled not with emptiness, but with his presence. For it is in the stillness that your strength will rise again. It is in the solitude that your purpose will come into focus. It is in the sacred separation that healing flows deepest. Let this be the day you stop running from the silent sand. Start listening to the whisper God has been speaking all along. Let this be the day you stop striving for approval and find rest in the assurance that his hand is still on your life. Let this be the day you stop asking, "Why do I have no friends?" and start thanking God for protecting you from what was never meant to walk with you. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not broken beyond repair. You are chosen. You are called. you are covered. And though you may walk alone in the eyes of men, you are completely surrounded by the presence of God. Let that be enough for your soul. Let that truth steady your steps when the path feels uncertain. Let it lift your head when heaviness tries to pull you down. Let it ignite your spirit and remind you of who you truly are. Walk boldly, walk faithfully, walk humbly. But above all, walk with God. For the one who walks with God never walks alone. My dear friend, lean in closely, because this might just be the moment your soul has been longing for. This could be the very hour your spirit has been weeping for in silence. You've been trudging through a long, painful valley. Your prayers have felt like they bounce off the ceiling, and your strength, it's nearly gone. You put on a brave face, but deep down you are shattered, drained, weary to the core. In the stillness of night you've whispered, God, I can't do this anymore. But I'm here today to proclaim this over you. He has heard you. Heaven has caught every cry. God knows, yes, truly knows you are tired, and He is about to step in. You see, God is not unmoved by your suffering. He is not blind to the burdens you carry. The God of heaven has witnessed every tear that silently traced down your face. He has counted every restless night. He has walked beside you through every disappointment, betrayal, anxious moment, and wave of fear that crashed over your soul. And hear me, His silence does not mean absence. The stillness of God does not mean He has turned away. No, He has been working behind the curtain of your battle, preparing something sacred. While you've been trying to hold everything together, He has been orchestrating the moment to lift it all off your shoulders. There are seasons when life presses in so hard that even the strongest falter, even warriors grow weary, even the faithful feel forgotten, and those who have always been the pillars for others, sometimes they find themselves on the verge of collapse. But today let me speak life into your spirit. Your exhaustion is not failure. Your weariness is not weakness. It is heaven's signal that help is coming. When your strength ends, His begins. When your resources run dry, His abundance begins to flow. And when you whisper, I can't go on, God responds, now watch what I will do. God is not waiting for perfection before He moves. He doesn't require flawless faith or fearless hearts. He doesn't need your situation to be tidy or ideal. No, beloved. He steps into the middle of the mess. He comes into your fatigue, your confusion, your chaos. And when He comes, He brings peace that surpasses all understanding, power that breaks every chain. And His presence drives out fear. You might feel like you're hanging by a thread, but this is not the end of your story. God is still writing. He has not withdrawn. He is drawing near. Some of you listening right now have been carrying the world on your shoulders. You're the one others turn to, the one who keeps everything afloat. Your family, your work, your relationships, your finances. And all the while, your heart is crying out, but who's carrying me? Listen to me, child of God. He is. He's about to step in. The Lord is about to lift you. He's getting ready to raise you above the storm that's tried to consume you. You've stood in the fire, but hear me, you've never stood there alone. Just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, there's been a fourth man in the furnace all along, and now He's about to walk you out without even the sin of smoke on your life. You were not created just to survive. You were made to thrive. You've been enduring what God is now preparing to set you free from. Some of you have been crying out, when, Lord, when will it shift? When will it pain stop? Hear this today. The delay was not a denial. The waiting has never been wasted. God has been enlarging your faith, refining who you are, and preparing the ground for your blessing. Just like Paul and Silas Shu watched the midnight turn to morning from a prison. Sell your midnight is about to give way to dawn. The chains that held you are about to break. Your breakthrough is closer than it's ever been. Don't believe the enemy's lies in this weary place. Don't let the accuser convince you that God has turned away. That's his tactic to drain your spirit, to make you give up just steps before the blessing, to make you settle for something far less than what heaven has written over your life. But you must keep moving forward. Stand firm. Anchor yourself to the rock that towers above fear. God sees your perseverance. He sees you clinging to faith even when fear tries to shout louder. He sees you stepping forward when everything in you wants to run back. And I assure you, he will honor it. Isaiah 40:29-31 says, He gives power to the faint, and to those with no might he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and grow weary, and young men shall fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall soar on wings like eagles. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not faint. That promise was never meant for the strong. It was given to the exhausted, to the ones who wonder how they'll take another step. That promise is for you. Even now heaven leans closed. The angels are watching. And God is on the move. He's been waiting for this moment to display his strength in your weakness, to step right into your fatigue and whisper, peace, be still. He's not just coming to comfort you. He's coming to transform everything. The same God who parted the Red Sea is about to part your impossibility. The same God who fed Elijah in the desert is about to breathe fresh fire into your soul. The same voice that called Lazarus out of the grave is calling your purpose, your joy, your hope back to life. And some of you, you've been fighting battles behind closed doors, but you haven't been alone. You've been wearing strength like armor in front of the world, but inside you've been breaking. The spiritual warfare has been real. The doubts have shouted. The weight has nearly crushed you. But hear this, what you've battled for in the shadows, God is about to reward in the light. You didn't give up. You didn't walk away. You didn't turn your back on God. You prayed. You trusted. You kept showing up. And the God who sees in the secret place, he's getting ready to honor you in the open. The Lord is about to move. Not because you earned it, but because he loves you. Because his grace is greater than every one of your stumbles. Because his mercy runs deeper than your pain. Because his power is made perfect in the very place you feel weakest. Maybe you don't even have the words to pray anymore. That's okay. The Holy Spirit is interceding for you with groanings that no language can capture. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but you know the one who holds tomorrow, and that is more than enough. Don't let your fatigue prophesy your future. Don't let today's struggle define your destiny. God is not put off by your weariness. In fact, when you reach the end of yourself, that's when he reveals the fullness of himself. Remember Gideon, hiding in fear, overwhelmed and uncertain, yet God called him a mighty warrior. Remember Moses, burdened by flaws and exhaustion, yet God called him to lead a nation into freedom. Remember the woman with the issue of blood, isolated, weakened, rejected, but when she reached for Jesus, everything changed. Maybe all you have left is a whisper of faith. But hear me, that whisper is enough. God isn't waiting for your perfection or your power. He's waiting for your surrender. Just lift those weary hands. Just crack open that tired heart. Just breathe out, Lord, I need you. and he will come out slowly, not timidly, but like a rushing flood of mercy. He'll meet you in that place of weariness. He will uphold you with his righteous right hand. He will fight for you in ways beyond anything you could ask or imagine. I understand what it's like to be tired, not just in body or mind, but in your very soul. That kind of weariness that sleep won't fix. That tiredness that makes you question if your life still holds purpose. That dull ache that whispers, why keep going? But I came to remind you there is a reason. There is a calling. There is a God who has never taken his eyes off you, and he is stepping into your exhaustion with supernatural strength. The enemy wants you to believe that this is the end of the road, but he is a liar. This is not the conclusion. This is the middle. This is the turning point. This is the chapter where God enters the story and turns pain into purpose, trial into testimony, where mourning is traded for dancing, where heaviness is exchanged for a garment of praise. Where your weakness once stood, his strength is about to pour in. He is not some distant figure watching from afar, is a present help, a deliverer near. There's a divine reason you didn't quit. There's purpose behind the breath, still in your lungs, behind your ears, still open to hope. It's because your story isn't over. God isn't finished. Something holy is shifting even now. When God steps in, the atmosphere bows. Chains that seemed unbreakable snap. Roads that felt twisted begin to straighten. What seemed impossible becomes the very canvas for a miracle. This is the God who walked on waves, who shut the mouths of lions, who moved mountains with just a word, and now he is moving into your circumstance. So lift your eyes, weary heart. You are not overlooked. You are not defeated. You are deeply loved. You are handpicked by heaven. You are cradled in the everlasting arms of the Almighty. And he whispers to you now, be still and know that I am God. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to fix what's broken. You don't have to carry this alone. He is stepping in. He's taking over, and he's about to show you what only the power of heaven can accomplish. You are not too far, not too broken, not too tired. In fact, your weariness is exactly where he wants to meet you. Where you come to your end, he begins. Where your strength ends, his grace abounds. Where your sight dims, his light blazes brighter than ever. So don't quit now. Don't collapse under the weight. Don't surrender to the pressure. Surrender to the one who can lift it. Even now, I believe the Holy Spirit is stirring within you, lifting burdens, breaking chains, breathing life back into dry places. You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to keep acting strong. You can bring your weariness to him. And when you lay it at his feet, you'll discover the one who scattered stars into the sky is also holding the fragile pieces of your heart. The one who silenced the storm will silence the chaos in your soul. The one who conquered the grave will walk with you through every valley. So rest, beloved. Rest in his promises that never fail. Rest in his presence that never leaves. Rest in the truth that you are never ever alone. God is stepping into your tiredness, not just with comfort, but with power, with a love that revives, with a hope that never disappoints. You may have arrived here weary, but you won't leave the same. You will rise, you will stand tall, you will walk again, not with your own strength, but in the power of the living God. Because when God steps in, nothing remains untouched. Nothing stays the same. And let this settle into the depths of your spirit. There are moments, surely divine moments, when heaven draws near, when eternity brushes against your pain, when the unseen hand of God reaches into the depths of your storm and begins to rewrite your story, that moment is now. This isn't just another chapter of hardship. This is the divine collision between your human weakness and God's unstoppable strength. You have not been forgotten. You've been positioned for a divine encounter. What the enemy designed to destroy you, God is about to use to deliver you. What appeared to be a breaking point will soon reveal itself as the birthplace of your breakthrough. Do you see it yet? God hasn't lost the power to split seas wide open. He hasn't stopped commanding mountains to move. He has not turned away from the cries of the weary. In truth, while you were enduring the wait, He was preparing the wonder. His silence has not been absent. It has been filled with strategy from heaven. Every delay has been orchestrated to magnify His glory. Every door that shut in your face was rerouting you to something greater. Every disappointment was deepening your dependence, sharpening your testimony, until it would shine with undeniable power. And hear me, with boldness from the Spirit of God, you are closer than you realize. Just as morning always follows the darkest night, your deliverance is nearer than it appears. God isn't waiting for you to get stronger. He's moving because you're tired. He's stepping in at the very moment your strength runs out. He's not coming to supplement your effort. He's coming to take over because He never asked you to carry this alone. He never expected you to move the mountain with your own hands. He said it clearly, "Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, declares the Lord." Zechariah 4:6. Some of you have confused exhaustion with failure. You've mistaken delay for denial. But the Holy Spirit whispers this truth today. This is not the end of your strength. It's the beginning of mine. The very place where you feel most defeated is about to become the place where God shows up in power. He's turning your weariness into a testimony. Your pain will become a platform. Your collapse will become the canvas for His glory. Don't think for a moment that He missed the night you cried yourself to sleep. Don't believe He overlooked the days you barely made it through, whispering, "God, just help me survive today." He saw you. He saw the praise you offered with trembling hands. He noticed when you poured out encouragement to others from a soul running on empty. He saw you show up to worship with a heart that felt crushed. And He smiled not because you had it all together, but because you were faithful. And faith, even faith the size of a mustard seed, moves the heart of heaven. There's purpose in the breaking. There's power in the pressing. God lets us come to the end of ourselves, not to destroy us, but to transform us. Because it is there in tension, in the stretch, in the surrender, that new glory is born. When Jacob wrestled with God through the night and came away limping, it wasn't a curse, it was a mark. And many of you too carry marks, not of defeat, but of encounter. You wear the unseen scars of spiritual warfare. You've battled in the secret place, wept through midnight prayers, endured storms that could have swallowed others whole, yet you're still here. Maybe you're limping, but you haven't bowed. And that limp, it's evidence that you've met God in the wrestle and you refuse to let go. Hear this. Your tears have not been wasted. Your prayers have not gone unnoticed. Your fatigue has been recorded in heaven. There is an altar soaked in the incense of your cries. And the God who hears every groan, every sigh, every silent plea, He is a righteous judge. He will respond. He will move. He will redeem every drop of your sorrow and transform it into a sound of victory. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." That's not poetic imagery, that's divine reality. It's who he is. The God who stoops low to lift up the weary, who moves gently into your pain, not to scold, but to heal. Your crushed spirit is sacred to him. He doesn't bring shallow solution. He brings eternal restoration. He knows how to mend what's been torn for too long. And for some of you standing right on the edge whispering, God, I've done all I can, he's answering, that's all I needed. Now let me show you what I can do. You've been striving in your own strength, but the battle was never yours. You've been forcing doors open, but he's the one who holds the key. You've been shouting at your mountain, and he's about to move it. Not by your effort, but by your surrender. Not by your might, but by your obedience. Because when God steps in, he doesn't come with advice, comes with authority. He doesn't just patch the wound, he heals the root. He doesn't tame the storm, he silences it. Remember when Jesus stepped into that boat in the middle of chaos, he didn't consult the wind, he commanded it, peace, be still. And I declare that same authority over your soul today. Let every raging sea in your heart hear the voice of the one who calms storm. Don't let your exhaustion lie to you. You are not abandoned. You are not alone. He is closer than your next breath, closer than your shadow, and he is working right now on your behalf. You may not see it yet, but you will sense it. The atmosphere is shifting. Winds of change are stirring. The heaviness is lifting, and the sun of righteousness is rising with healing in his wings. Let this settle deep within your soul. You were never created to collapse. You were not designed to break under pressure. You were not meant to sink in sorrow. You were handcrafted by the Almighty for such a time as this. You're not here by chance. This very moment, this exact season was divinely orchestrated for your transformation. And when God steps in, he doesn't just bring relief, he brings revival. Can you see it now? The pressure you feel is not punishment. His permission to press into him. The weight isn't meant to crush you. It's meant to reveal his strength. The night isn't endless. It's calling you to search for the light. And when you seek him, not in pride, but in surrender, he comes in power, in presence, in promise. He is the God who turns graves into gardens, ashes into beauty, mourning into dancing. And I sense the Holy Spirit whispering now, don't retreat, don't run, don't yield to the voice that says it's over, because it's not. This is not the end. This is the beginning. You are not surrounded by defeat. You are standing on the threshold of deliverance, and when God moves, he moves suddenly. Just like he brought water from a rock, just like he rained manna from heaven, just like he rolled the stone away from the tomb. He is about to do the unthinkable, the unimaginable, the unstoppable in your life. So lift those weary hands, stand on trembling legs, let hope flicker again in your tired heart, because God is faithful. He cannot lie, he cannot fail, and he has spoken. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. That's not just comfort, it's covenant. It's not just poetry, it's a divine guarantee. And that very promise is what he carries into your exhaustion. When he arrives, every demon must flee, every chain must shatter, every fear must bow, every lie must be silenced. Because the King of Glory does not enter as a spectator. He comes to reign, he comes to heal, to restore, to lift, to display his glory through your story. He's not late, he's not unsure, he's not hesitant. He is God and he's coming for you. So stand still, watch for the salvation of your Lord. Not tomorrow, not next year, but now. The God who knows your name, the God who reads your heart, the God who has never lost a battle. He is stepping in. And when he does, nothing will remain the same. Hear me with eternity, pressing on this moment. God is not watching your weariness with apathy. He watches it with purpose. He is not pacing the heavens wondering what to do. He is preparing you for divine exchange. Because when you come to the end of yourself, that is the very place where God begins. When your wisdom runs dry, that's when divine strategy starts to flow. When your plans fall apart, his purpose rises to take their place. Your tiredness is not your disqualification. It's your invitation. It's the open door where grace walks in, where the strength of heaven rushes in like a mighty wind. You see, this world tells us to keep grinding, keep proving, keep pushing through with willpower and determination. But God invites us into something far more profound, to abide. Jesus didn't say, try harder and maybe you'll make it. He said, abide in me and I in you, John 15:4. That means your responsibility is not to be strong enough, but to stay close enough. Stay connected to the source. Stay rooted in the one who is strength itself. The branch doesn't strain to bear fruit. It simply remains in the vine. And as long as you remain in Christ, the flow of his power cannot be cut off. Not even when you feel your weakest. There is power in surrender. There is strength in stillness. The world says, don't show weakness. But the Spirit whispers, my grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. When you lift your trembling hands and whisper, God, I can't, you're not losing. You're stepping into alignment with the greatest strength in the universe. God doesn't pour his Spirit into the proud. He pours it into the poured out. He fills the empty. He empowers the humble. Let me speak this over your heart. Your exhaustion isn't just physical. It's spiritual. It's emotional. It's the weight of prayers unanswered, dreams deferred, hopes bruised by disappointment, and God, he refuses to leave you crushed beneath it. He is the lifter of your head. He is the restorer of your soul. He is your anchor in the storm and the fire in your bones. When you want to let go, he holds you tighter. When your grip slips, his never does. When your voice falters, he sings over you songs of deliverance. Oh, beloved, this weariness, it's not the end. It's not your identity. It's not your final chapter. It's a sacred signpost pointing you to the altar, a cry that has reached the courts of heaven. And I declare to you with every fiber of my being, he is coming. The Lord your God is coming, like rain on parched soil. He's coming with healing in his voice and resurrection in his hands. He's coming with clarity where confusion has lingered, with peace where torment has lived, with joy where sorrow has long camped. Don't let your fatigue fool you. Don't believe the lie that weariness means failure. Sometimes it means you've been faithful. You fought, you've stood, you kept walking when quitting would have been easier. And heaven has noticed. That's not failure. That's faithfulness under fire. And God sees it. He recognizes it. He treasures it. He rewards those who seek him with their whole hearts. Not those who never stumble, but those who keep showing up. Those who keep standing even with shaking knees. Those who trust when the answers are delayed. And let me tell you something. The enemy would rather you never realize. Weariness is often the final ambush before the miracle. Discouragement often hits hardest right before the door swings open. Heaviness weighs heaviest just before the light breaks through. Why? Because the enemy can sense the shift. He sees the movement of heaven even when you don't. And he knows if you hold on just a little longer, is about to move in a way that shakes the heavens and transforms the earth. So if you're weary today, don't believe the lie that you're losing. You're closer than you've ever been. When God steps in, he doesn't just return what was lost. He multiplies. Job lost everything. But when God moved, the restoration was double. Joseph was thrown into a pit, then into a prison, but one divine moment changed it all, taking him from captivity to the palace. That's the God we serve, not a fixer of fragments, but a redeemer of everything. What the locust devoured, he restores. What the years have drained, he revives. This is not about empty hype. This is the anchor of real hope. The hope that rises from knowing exactly who your God is. The hope that says, he has never failed me, and he never will. He's not waiting to catch you falling apart just to reprimand you. He's waiting for you to lean into him so he can carry what you were never meant to bear alone. He's not repulsed by your exhaustion. He's drawn to it. The cry of a tired soul is irresistible to a loving Father, and your Father your goest coming. So lift your eyes from the dust. Lift your gaze above the storm. Look past the ache. For behold, your Redeemer lives, and he will stand at the last day. And even now he is standing beside you. Even now his angels are an assignment for your deliverance. Even now doors are unlocking, chains are breaking, fresh oil is being released from heaven. You may feel weak, but his word never weakens. You may feel drained, but his promises overflow. You may feel forgotten, but your name is written on the very palms of his hands. There is still purpose pulsing in your life. There is still a divine calling attached to your name. And even if the flame feels faint, God has not abandoned you. He hasn't turned away. He's not ashamed of your fatigue. He's stepping into it. He's speaking through it. And in the very place your soul whispers, I can't, his spirit declares, watch me. Watch me heal. Watch me provide. Watch me raise beauty from the ashes. You don't have to stay where the pain found you. Watch me lift you. Watch me lift you from the ashes. Watch me do what you once thought was impossible. This is not your moment to quit. This is not your hour to settle for less. This is the time to believe like never before, to hold tight to every word that flows from the mouth of God. To declare through your tears, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Yes, your strength may waver, but the strength of your God never will. His power is everlasting. His faithfulness never falters. His love is unshakable. So rise, weary heart. Stand tall in your spirit. Let the breath of heaven fan into flame the embers within you. Let faith awaken once more. Let hope take root again. Let joy flow like oil over every dry and thirsty place in your soul. Because the one who hung the stars has not forgotten your name. The one who spoke galaxies into being is speaking now into your pain. And when he steps in, there will be no doubt, no confusion, no room for question. It will be evident. God did this. Only God could have done this. You will testify. You will sing again. You will run and not grow weary. You will walk and not faint, not because you become strong, but because you finally remembered where your strength comes from. Not because the battle disappeared, but because the Lord entered the battlefield. And when he shows up, beloved, the outcome is already determined. Victory is certain. Restoration is promised. And your story will become a living witness of a God who enters tired places and leaves them saturated with. So I ask you now, with every ounce of love and holy urgency in my spirit, what will you do with this moment? You who are weary, pressed on every side, yet still breathing, will you reach for the hand that has never stopped reaching for you? Will you lay down the burden that was never yours to carry? Will you surrender not just your struggle but your whole self at the foot of the cross? That sacred place where power is born from sacrifice, where hope is raised through surrender, and where eternity meets the pain of this world. This is your moment to draw near. This is your time to whisper. No more pretending to be strong. No more hiding behind composure. I will risen not in my strength, but in His. Let your soul cry again. Let your spirit awaken. Let the tears you've held back become rivers of healing, because you're not being defeated. You're finally being found. Found in the arms of the one who has never let you go. He hasn't withdrawn His love. He's been running towards you this whole time, a robe in hand, ring prepared, and a feast of restoration, waiting to celebrate your return. And for those of you who've been walking with God, but feel like the fire is fading, this is your moment to reignite it. Don't let the weariness of the journey rob you of the wonder of your calling. You are still chosen. You are still anointed. You are still appointed. And God didn't bring you this far to abandon you. Now, the weariness you feel is not your ending. It's the sacred threshold where your strength fades and God's glory begins. So rise up, beloved child of God. Shake the dust from your soul. Lift your gaze. Steady your heart. You were never designed to carry this burden alone. Now is the moment to return. Not just in speech, but in surrender. Let your life become a living altar. Let your thoughts, your time, your decisions echo this unchanging truth. God is with you. God is for you. God is stepping in. And when He steps in, everything changes. Let this be the defining line in your story. The moment the weary version of you was laid down, and the trusting, surrendered, spirit-filled version rose again. The moment your human effort gave way to divine empowerment. The moment you stopped simply surviving and began believing again. Walk forward from this place not clothed in despair, but robed in destiny. Let the radiance of heaven shine through your countenance. Let peace replace panic. Let joy silence sorrow. Let a holy fire blaze in your eyes. Saw fire that could only come from a God who stepped into your exhaustion and called you not backward, not inward, but upward. And when the enemy dares to come knocking again, and He will remind him of this moment. Remind him who met you in the valley. Remind him what God declared over you. Remind him that you no longer walk in your own strength, but in the fire of the Holy Spirit. You will not give up. You will not fall apart. You arise not because of your resolve, but because God has spoken, and when God speaks, everything must bow. So go now, go full, go free, go forward, knowing that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the one who comes, sees, shatters chains, and rolls away stones, is walking every step beside you. And if God is for you, then no weariness, no opposition, no situation, no force in hell can stand against you. Rest in Him, rise in Him,